That smells so good. Hi everyone, I am here today to film the Why I'm a Reader book tag, and quite frankly, I'm a reader because books smell beautiful. Yeah, I was tagged by the lovely Caris over at Caris on Reading, and I will leave a link to her video down below. I can't think who actually created this tag originally right now, but if I can find that information, I will also leave a link to that down below too. Question 1 is to choose one word that describes being a reader. Should probably have thought a little bit about these before filming this video. I never think about the questions, and then I'm sat here like just really like, oh, for ages. This is probably a really cliche answer, but I'm going to go with exciting. It's exciting to be a reader. There are so many different things that you can read about, so many different worlds, so many different people that you can read about. It's just so exciting to know that there's so many unread stories out there. Question 2, what's the very first book you fell in love with? Probably one all the way up there that I definitely can't reach from here, and I'm not going to stand up to do so. Okay, this won't be the very first book because I can't remember the very first book, but this one is definitely up there, and that is My Naughty Little Sister by Dorothy Edwards. And I used to read this over and over and over, and I can still remember it really well actually. Oh my god, yes, it's battered. I used to love this book so much, and I feel like for the age I was reading it at, this was actually probably like quite a lot of writing per page, and oh, this just brings back so many memories. Oh, I could just sit here awing over this for ages now, but yeah, I really, really, really loved this book. Another one would also be, oh, can I even get to it? One of my mum's really, really old books, which is, try again, shall we? Which is Naughty Amelia Jane by Enid Blyton. And this is old, okay? This is old, the state of these pages. Oh, but it's so beautiful too to be holding such an old book. This was a really big part of my very early childhood as well, to read these stories about Naughty Amelia Jane, and it was engrossing for me. And again, I felt really grown up because I was reading a proper book. But I'm sure there are many more than that. They're just the ones that spring to mind at this exact second. The next question is hardback or paperback. Now, this isn't very cut and dry for me because on the one hand, hardbacks look absolutely beautiful on your shelves. There's no denying it. They're usually the same height. They fit together nicely. They're always like the same size. Well, they're not always, but on other people's bookshelves, that's how they look. Never on mine, but that's how they look. Whereas paperbacks, you stand a lot bigger chance of them being all higgledy-piggledy size, and they just don't fit together quite as nicely. But in terms of actually reading, I mean, you tell me, is it going to be easier to hold a paperback? La, la, la. Or you're there like, this is a bad example because this one's really light, but or you're there like holding a hardback like, oh, this is so heavy and awkward, no, it's digging into my hand. So of course it's easier to read a paperback. That said, trade market paperbacks, not quite so comfy an experience. The writing's really right up to the very middle, and you're there like this, like, because I don't want to break my spine, so I'm there like that, like, ooh. This is a really not very well answered question, isn't it? I am going to say though, paperbacks. I prefer paperbacks. I'm committing. How has reading shaped your identity? I think reading has massively shaped my identity because I can't even begin to think what my childhood would have even been like if I hadn't been a reader. I was that girl that always had her nose stuck in books. During the school holidays, as I got a little bit older, I'd buy a couple of Goosebump books or a couple of other books every single Thursday when I went shopping, and I would sit and read them all afternoon until I finished them a couple of days later in some cases, and then I would do the same again the week after, and that was just my summer holidays was spent reading. I did English literature at A-level again because why would I pick a different subject when I can do English literature? I did English literature at university because why wouldn't you when you love reading? Although I will say it did put me off reading for a few years after that. I honestly don't understand how people that are doing English literature degrees, such as Caris, are actually managing to read for pleasure on top of that, because I got to the point where I didn't even want to pick up a book. And indeed, I spent a good chunk of my 20s not reading at all, and looking back, that's such a traumatic thought to have not been reading. It was a very slow process getting back into reading, and actually, ridiculously as it sounds, Twilight kind of helped get me back into reading. Yeah, we won't go there. But I've always just loved reading so much. I've loved books. My lifelong ambition ever since I was a really young child has been to write a book. And so that is something that I'm really focused on trying to do. And honestly, like, what hobby would I be doing if I wasn't reading? Would I just be one of those people that just go out with friends all the time? Or would I be that person that just sits watching Netflix all night? Or all weekend? Or I don't know who I'd be. The next question is, what book do you read when you need to be comforted? And this is kind of tricky for me, because while I do have a couple of go-to series, one of which is very cliche, I don't necessarily need to pick up something that I'm already familiar with to be comforted. I love reading to be comforted if I'm in the correct mood. It depends what I need comforting for. And so sometimes it's nice to pick up something like Harry Potter, cliche answer, or probably a little bit less cliche is the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella. As I've mentioned many a time, she's one of my favourite chick lit authors, and her books just help cheer me up and distract me no end, and I've reread that series so many times for that reason. And so that series definitely works well for me. But as I said, I don't need to pick up a series. I can happily just read anything, and as long as it's taking me away, I find it comforting. The next question is, who taught you to be a reader, or did you do it all on your own? And for the most part, my mum mainly taught me to read. Although I was very much I don't know whether when I was really little my dad used to read in front of me, because my mum's never been much of a reader, despite the fact that I've inherited this or that book off her. She's never really been a massive reader until recently. I've managed to get her reading my Shopaholic books. But anyway, it's always been my dad that's been the reader, but I don't have many memories of actually ever seeing him actually reading a book. Although my mum claims that he does or did. I don't know. My mum has told me quite a few times how she used to sit down with me with a newspaper or whatever, and I'd be there picking out words and reading them. And I was definitely reading before I went to school, probably not much past toddler age, to be honest. So I've got my mum to thank, along with just my natural want to be a readerness that is deep inside of me, obviously. And the final one is to describe your dream reading lounge. My dream reading lounge, I'm sure I've got it saved on Pinterest, almost positive, and if I have, I will insert an image right here, because that is just the dream. In case I can't find a picture, no, I've definitely got a picture. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it. There is definitely, I will show you a picture. But I was scrolling through Pinterest one night, as you do, and I saw this and I was like, oh, that is perfect. That is the dream. And quite frankly, any lounge that's full of books wouldn't make a bad reading lounge, to be honest. I mean, I've only got the 2 shelves here right now in my lounge, but oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to just... Yeah, I'm not going to be allowed to have them everywhere. Boyfriend would definitely veto that. But yes. And that brings us to the end of this tag. Now, I am rubbish at looking beforehand, surprise, surprise, at who has done this tag and who hasn't. So, I'm going to tag Cherry over at Cherry Walker. Just in case you haven't done this one yet, I will tag you. And also I'm going to tag a new booktuber who I discovered literally earlier today. And her name is Maddie K, and I will leave a link to her channel down below as well. It feels so good to have actually finally got a book tag filmed. I am rubbish at keeping up with filming these. I know I am tagged in so many. Some of them going back years now. I'm really sorry. Maybe one day I'll get to them, but I really enjoyed this tag. It was nice not to have to worry about holding books up constantly, although I did flash up the occasional one. I wasn't sat here the whole time I've got to sort my shelves out after this because I've got to stack of 10 books. So that was a really nice feeling, and I've really been enjoying watching these tags. So if you film this tag and you want me to watch a video, link me down below. I will happily check it out if I haven't done already. And thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me. And I will see you on Sunday with a book haul. And you will see me on Sunday with a book haul because I'm about to film it right after this video. So it's going to happen this week. It is. Bye bye.